also true 100 years ago when this horse-drawn fire engine was in use. The steam engine on board was specially designed to pump water at a moment's notice. In today's emergencies, medical services increasingly rely on helicopters to save time. Gino Del Guercio took a ride on one that's being used to save lives in the Boston area.
The congestion of today's cities often makes it tough to get around. While for most of us it's just an annoyance, if you're critically ill, it can be a matter of life and death. So many hospitals now use helicopters to fly in their sickest patients. These helicopters are staffed with highly trained crews and outfitted with the latest in medical technology. Boston's helicopter is called MedFlight and is based at Logan Airport.
Hello. You have a call for us? Okay. Where to?
A young man has been found badly burned in a wooded area about 8 miles north of Boston. He needs the sophisticated care of a major medical center, but Friday afternoon traffic makes a quick ambulance ride to the city impossible. A MedFlight crew is on call 24 hours a day, and so within 5 minutes, they're in the air.
On arrival, Stoneham Hospital.
24-year-old Paul Anielowski was pulled from the woods, burned beyond recognition, and brought by ambulance to the local hospital.
All right,
Breathe in and out, okay?
big breath.
Local hospitals don't have the equipment or the expertise to treat severe burn victims. So MedFlight flew him to a burn unit in Boston. 2 months later, he was discharged. Dr. Alistair Kahn is MedFlight's medical director.
We know that there are certain types of injury that if you can get patients to a hospital in a short time frame, you can improve survival. About 50% of our runs are accident victims. Head injuries, multiple injuries, burns, for example, being flown predominantly from outlying hospitals into the major medical centers in Boston.
The nonprofit service began airlifting patients in June of 1985. It carried 350 patients in its first year. Anyone who needs it can use the helicopter, whether or not they can pay for it. Most health insurance plans pick up the cost. Speed is not the helicopter's only advantage. MedFlight can transfer patients who in the past were considered too sick to move. In one case, the crew restarted a patient's heart 11 times. So far, they've only lost one patient, a premature infant. 10 years ago, there were fewer than a dozen medical helicopters flying in the United States. Today, there are about 130. Medical helicopters were used extensively during the Vietnam War. By quickly getting wounded soldiers to hospitals, they dramatically improved a GI's chances for survival. Until these helicopters were adapted for civilian use, soldiers wounded on the battlefield got medical attention faster than victims of car accidents. But speed costs money, and one criticism of medical helicopters is their expense.
Yes, the helicopter is expensive, and the budget for the MedFlight program here in Boston is greater than $1 million a year. That's correct. It's expensive. But however, you may be taking patients from an outlying hospital or from the scene and taking them to facilities where they may have 30 to 40% better chance of survival than the community hospital. I think I see them making medicine a lot more efficient.
Dr. Kahn believes this efficiency is changing the way medicine is practiced. The hospital can concentrate on its areas of expertise, such as head injuries or premature infants, and patients can be flown to where the care is best. In addition, outlying hospitals don't have to invest in expensive equipment to treat the rare, critically ill patient. The city's 8 major hospitals reduce costs further by sharing the helicopter and splitting its expense. It is the first such consortium of its kind. Another criticism of medical helicopters is that they are dangerous. MedFlight's sister helicopter in central Massachusetts crashed 2 years ago, killing the pilot and a crew member. More than a dozen others have also crashed in recent years.
Helicopters by themselves are not intrinsically dangerous. Yes, you're perfectly correct. The accident rate in the hospital aviation business is too high. And I think there are several reasons for that. I think hospitals and physicians, health providers, always think the helicopter should always be available 100% of the time. And you can't do that. There will be weather conditions where you can't fly.
Flying at night and landing on unfamiliar sites make the use of emergency helicopters dangerous by nature. Still, when someone must get to a hospital immediately, the benefits almost always outweigh the risks.
Speak to the people who've been on the helicopter. Critical, really critical patients. And it can make the difference. Get into the right place, no doubt about it.
Back around the turn of the century, when steam engines like this one were in use instead of in museums, life was a little less complicated.
No